Welcome to the deep dive, everybody. Ready for another deep dive?
Always.
Today we're taking a look at these incredible watchdogs in your immune system.
Oh, yeah.
Toll-like receptors, or TLRs.
Yeah.
These proteins, they're like an early warning system, right? They're detecting all those sneaky microbial invaders that are just trying to make you their home.
Right.
So we'll be using an article from Assay Genie.
Okay.
It's called Toll-like receptor signaling pathways, a key to innate immunity, written by Zainab Riaz.
Okay.
And we're going to unpack exactly how these receptors work, why they're so important for fighting off infection, and what makes them such a hot topic in medical research.
Well, one of the things that's so fascinating about TLRs is that they're incredibly specialized. It's not enough to simply know there's a potential threat out there. They can actually identify the specific type of microbe that's trying to invade.
It's like they have a sixth sense for danger.
Yeah.
So how do they actually recognize these invaders? What are they looking for?
Well, they look for specific patterns on microbes called pathogen-associated molecular patterns, or PAMPs.
PAMPs.
PMPs, yeah, they're like molecular fingerprints. Each type of invader has a unique one, whether it's bacteria, a virus, you name it. For instance, TLR4, that one's specifically designed to recognize lipopolysaccharide, or LPS. It's a major part of the outer membrane of certain bacteria.
Okay.
And when TLR4 spots LPS, it's like, hey, red alert. It triggers this whole cascade of signals to the immune system, basically saying, these bacteria are here.
So it's essential for defense, but can you imagine if that system just went into overdrive?
Oh, absolutely. Too much TLR4 activation. You're looking at a recipe for excessive inflammation. And that can actually cause more harm than good.
Right.
That's why TLRs need to be carefully regulated.
Oh, so it's like a smoke detector.
Exactly.
You need it to go off when there's a real fire.
Yeah.
But you don't want it triggering every time you burn toast.
Exactly. Perfect analogy.
So we've got these TLRs acting as, highly trained security guards, using PMPs to ID the bad guys, right?
Right.
But what happens once they've actually spotted an intruder? How do they call for backup?
Okay, well, that's where things get even more interesting. TLRs actually activate these signaling pathways within your cells that act like communication networks, transmitting the alert to the rest of the immune system. Think of it like a chain reaction. The TLR spots the intruder, sends out the signal, and that signal triggers a whole cascade of events that ultimately lead to the elimination of the threat.
Okay, so let's unpack these signaling pathways a bit. You mentioned they act like communication networks. Are we talking like a single network here, or are there multiple pathways involved?
So there are actually two main pathways activated by TLRs, the MyD88-dependent pathway and the TRIF-dependent pathway.
MyD88 and TRIF.
Yeah. It's like having different response teams for different types of emergencies.
Oh, so the body has backup for its backup.
Exactly.
Tell me more about how these different pathways work.
Okay, so the MyD88-dependent pathway, that's like the rapid response team, triggered by most TLRs, and it quickly leads to the production of pro-inflammatory cytokines, which are like chemical messengers.
Okay.
This pathway, it's all about raising the alarm and getting the troops to the site of infection fast.
So that's how your body knows exactly where to send help when you have an infection.
Yep.
What about the other pathway, the TRIF-dependent?
TRIF-dependent, that one is a bit more specialized. It's activated exclusively by TLR3 and TLR4, and instead of cytokines, it leads to the production of type I interferons, which are super important for fighting off viruses.
Interferons, okay.
Yeah, you might have heard of them in the context of COVID-19 because interferons are crucial for our antiviral defenses. They mess with viral replication, and they help activate other immune cells that are designed to specifically eliminate the cells that have been infected by the virus.
So it's like having a specialized SWAT team for those really dangerous viral threats.
Yes.
But I'm wondering, do these pathways, MyD88 and TRIF, work completely independently, or is there any crosstalk between them?
That's a great question. And while they do have these different roles, they absolutely communicate and coordinate to ensure that you've got a balanced and effective immune response. It's like an orchestra.
Okay.
Each instrument is playing its part to create this harmonious symphony of defense.
I like that.
But just like an orchestra needs a conductor, these pathways need careful regulation, right? Imagine what would happen if the percussion section just kept playing louder and louder without any control.
It would be total chaos. The music would fall apart.
Exactly.
So how does the body keep these immune responses in check? What's stopping the TLRs from going overboard?
Our bodies have evolved some pretty incredible mechanisms to do just that. We have these things called negative regulators,
Uh-huh.
molecules like SIGR, SOCS1, and A20. They act like brakes, dampening the TLR signals and making sure you have a balanced immune response. Without those regulators, things could really get out of control quickly, leading to all this excessive inflammation that damages your own tissues.
It's amazing how our bodies have all these intricate systems working behind the scenes to keep us healthy.
Right?
It's like this constant balancing act, making sure
Yeah.
the immune response is strong enough to fight off infection, but not so strong that it harms us in the process.
Yeah.
I'm curious how all this knowledge about TLRs translates to the real world.
Good.
What are the implications for treating diseases?
That's where things get really exciting because TLRs are such central players in both immunity and inflammation. They're becoming really important targets for new therapies.
So we know TLRs are essential, but how can we actually use them to develop new treatments? What does that look like?
Well, if we learn to manipulate TLR signaling, we could boost immune responses against infections or even cancer.
Oh, wow.
Or we could suppress overactive immune responses in autoimmune diseases where your immune system is attacking your own body. It's like having a dimmer switch for your immune system, turning it up or down as needed.
Incredible.
Yeah.
So how do we control this dimmer switch? What are the tools we have?
There are two main approaches: TLR agonists and TLR antagonists.
Okay, agonists versus antagonists. How do they work?
Well, a TLR agonist is like a stimulant. It activates TLR signaling, boosting the immune response.
Okay.
Researchers are exploring them as potential adjuvants in vaccines.
Oh, interesting.
You can think of it as a way to supercharge vaccines, make them more effective at training your immune system to fight off diseases.
So they give the immune system a wake-up call
Exactly.
and make sure it really pays attention to the vaccine.
Yeah.
What about antagonists?
TLR antagonists do the opposite. They block or inhibit TLR signaling, dampening the immune response.
Okay.
And this is really promising for treating autoimmune diseases where the immune system is attacking the body's own tissues. By calming that overactive immune response down, we could alleviate the symptoms of these diseases and prevent more damage.
So instead of amplifying the immune response, we're carefully targeting specific pathways to dial things back a bit.
Exactly.
It's like hitting the off button on certain parts of the immune system while leaving the rest intact.
Precisely. It's a delicate balancing act, but the potential benefits for people suffering from autoimmune diseases are huge.
It's incredible. The more we delve into this, the more amazing it becomes.
Yeah.
But we're just about out of time for this part of our deep dive.
Okay.
Stay tuned for part 2, where we'll continue exploring TLRs, looking closer at their role in specific diseases and the exciting research that's paving the way for new treatments.
All right. Until then, I want you to consider this.
Okay.
If we can precisely target TLRs, could we reprogram the immune system to fight not just infections, but also chronic diseases? Maybe even conditions we haven't even considered yet.
Wow.
The possibilities are vast, and the future of immunology is really brimming with potential.
I can't wait to find out more.
Yeah.
See you in part 2.
See ya.
Welcome back to our deep dive into the world of toll-like receptors, TLRs.
TLRs.
We've already covered how they detect those invaders
Right.
and activate those signaling pathways to launch an immune response,
Mm-hmm.
all while being carefully regulated to prevent overreaction.
It's pretty amazing stuff.
It really is. And we touched on how these TLRs could be the key to new treatments for a whole range of diseases.
Yeah, that's where it gets really exciting.
It's like we stumbled upon a secret weapon hidden within our own bodies, and we're just starting to figure out how to use it.
Exactly. We've talked about how TLRs can be targeted by agonists to boost the immune response or by antagonists to suppress it.
Right. So let's get specific. What kind of diseases are we talking about here?
Well, the article mentions that TLR agonists are being investigated as potential adjuvants for vaccines.
So these agonists could make vaccines even more effective.
Yeah, imagine a world where vaccines offer even greater protection against infectious diseases.
That'd be incredible.
But the potential applications of TLR agonists extend far beyond just vaccines. Researchers are also exploring their potential to stimulate the immune system to fight cancer.
That's fascinating. How would that work? How do TLR agonists help fight cancer?
Well, cancer cells, they're sneaky. They often evade detection by the immune system.
They're like little ninjas.
Exactly. It's like they're wearing invisibility cloaks hiding in plain sight. But TLR agonists could blow their cover, alert the immune system to their presence, and then trigger an attack.
So it's like shining a spotlight on those stealthy cancer cells, making them visible to the immune system's defenses.
Exactly, a perfect analogy.
But are there any risks associated with this approach? I mean, could supercharging the immune system in this way have any unintended consequences?
That's a valid concern. Boosting the immune system always carries some inherent risks. That's why researchers are working so hard to ensure that TLR agonists can be used safely and effectively.
Okay.
They're investigating ways to specifically target TLRs on immune cells that are involved in cancer surveillance while minimizing the potential for off-target effects.
It's remarkable how scientists are constantly pushing the boundaries of our understanding, refining these tools to harness the power of the immune system with greater and greater precision.
It is.
Now let's shift gears a bit and talk about TLR antagonists.
Okay.
We've touched on their potential, but I'd love to delve deeper into their applications.
Well, TLR antagonists hold immense promise for treating autoimmune diseases.
Autoimmune diseases.
As you know, these are diseases where the immune system mistakenly attacks the body's own tissues.
Right, like rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, multiple sclerosis.
Exactly.
So in these cases, you wouldn't want to boost the immune response, you'd want to calm it down.
Exactly, and that's where TLR antagonists come in.
Okay.
But by blocking TLR signaling, we can dampen that overactive immune response that's causing the damage in these diseases.
So instead of a dimmer switch, it's more like hitting the off button on certain parts of the immune system.
Yeah.
But how do we make sure we're only targeting the harmful immune responses and not compromising the body's ability to fight off real threats?
That's the key challenge, right? The goal is to selectively suppress the harmful immune responses while leaving the rest of the immune system intact.
Okay.
Researchers are working to develop very specific TLR antagonists that target only the pathways involved in autoimmune diseases. So sparing the pathways that are crucial for defense against infections.
It's like performing microsurgery on the immune system.
It really is.
Incredibly precise and targeted.
Yeah.
It's exciting to think about the potential of these therapies to alleviate the suffering of millions living with autoimmune diseases.
Absolutely, and the research doesn't stop there. Scientists are constantly uncovering new TLRs, new signaling pathways, and new ways to target them therapeutically.
Wow, it's an incredible time to be following this field.
Yeah.
We've already learned so much, and it seems like we're only scratching the surface of what's possible.
It certainly is, and while there's still challenges to overcome, the future of TLR-based therapies looks incredibly bright.
So as we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I want to emphasize that TLRs are more than just microbial watchdogs.
Right.
They're key players in this vast and intricate immune system that we're only beginning to understand.
Yeah.
And by unraveling the complexities of TLR signaling, we're unlocking the potential to treat a wide range of diseases, from infections to cancer to autoimmune disorders.
Absolutely.
It's remarkable.
And it's important to remember that this groundbreaking research is a testament to the power of scientific inquiry and the boundless possibilities that lie ahead.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
Stay tuned for the final part of our deep dive, where we'll delve into some even more mind-blowing aspects of TLR research.
All right, until then, keep those mental gears turning and never stop exploring the fascinating world around us.
Welcome back to the deep dive. We're wrapping up our exploration of toll-like receptors, those incredible proteins that are like the immune system's first line of defense.
Right, we've talked about how they detect those microbial invaders and their potential as therapeutic targets, for everything from infections to cancer and autoimmune diseases.
We've learned how these remarkable proteins can be manipulated to either boost or suppress the immune response, which is incredible. It offers hope for new and more effective treatments for so many conditions. But you mentioned that there's one final layer we need to peel back to really appreciate the full complexity of these proteins.
Yeah, it's the fact that TLRs aren't just involved in fighting off external threats like bacteria and viruses.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
Recent research suggests that TLRs also play a role in recognizing danger signals that actually come from inside the body itself.
Wait, so our own bodies can trigger these immune responses. It's like setting off a fire alarm when you burn dinner.
That's a perfect analogy. These internal danger signals, they're called damage-associated molecular patterns, or DAMPs for short.
Okay, I'm following you. So these DAMPs are like the body's own version of a 911 call, alerting the immune system that something's wrong internally.
Exactly when cells are injured or under stress, they release these DAMPs. And just like with PAMPs, certain TLRs can actually recognize these DAMPs and trigger an immune response.
So the immune system isn't just looking out for external invaders. It's constantly monitoring the internal environment for any signs of trouble. It's like having a built-in security system that's always on high alert, both inside and out.
That's a great way to think about it. And this ability to recognize DAMPs, it has really profound implications for our understanding of a whole range of diseases beyond just infections.
Okay, I'm hooked. Give me the rundown on how these DAMPs change our understanding of disease.
Well, for one thing, it means that TLRs are now thought to play a role in chronic inflammatory diseases,
Okay.
like heart disease, Alzheimer's disease, even cancer.
Wow. So we're talking about a much broader role for TLRs than we initially thought. It's not just about fighting off infections anymore. It's about understanding how these internal danger signals contribute to all sorts of chronic conditions.
Exactly. And by understanding how TLRs recognize and respond to DAMPs, we can potentially develop new treatments for these chronic diseases, treatments that target the underlying inflammation instead of just masking the symptoms.
It's like we're on the cusp of a whole new era of medicine, one where we can fine-tune the immune system to address specific danger signals, whether they come from within or outside the body.
Exactly. And this is just the beginning. The more we learn about TLRs and their, intricate roles in both health and disease, the more opportunities we'll have to develop even more innovative therapies that target these pathways.
It's mind-blowing to think about the potential here. But I have to ask, what are the challenges? I mean, if we're talking about manipulating something as complex as the immune system, there must be risks involved.
Of course, there are always challenges when developing new therapies, especially when we're dealing with a system as complex and interconnected as the immune system. One of the biggest challenges is ensuring specificity. We want to target only the specific TLRs and pathways that are involved in a particular disease,
Right.
without disrupting the delicate balance of the immune system as a whole.
So the balancing act, making sure we're addressing the problem without creating new ones.
Exactly. And it requires, a really deep understanding of the intricate interactions within the immune system. But the potential rewards are enormous. If we can harness the power of TLRs safely and effectively, we could revolutionize the way we treat so many diseases.
Well, dear listener, as we reach the end of our deep dive into the world of toll-like receptors, I hope you're feeling as inspired and amazed as I am. We've journeyed from the front lines of microbial defense to the intricate world of internal danger signals. And along the way, we've glimpsed the vast therapeutic potential of these incredible proteins.
It's been a fascinating exploration, and I'm excited to see what the future holds for TLR-based therapies. Remember, this is a rapidly evolving field, and the research is constantly pushing the boundaries of what we thought was possible.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us on this incredible journey. Keep those mental gears turning and never stop exploring the fascinating world around us.